it's not that you shouldn't take massive action. It's just trying so hard starts to work against you because, when you're a tryhard, that's what people take away. So it's weird. It's like, I don't want someone who's lazy, but if you're trying so hard to do something, I think people feel like the words are the words. You're trying too hard.
Welcome to the Lion's Edge, where top performers sharpen their teeth. Hosted by Joe Blackburn, founder of The Lion, who is relentlessly dedicated to helping business owners lead multi-million-dollar teams. And me, Jason Croft. I transform unseen entrepreneurs into industry leaders by developing their market gravity. Each week, we reveal proven strategies and raw insights to help you maximize your business, multiply your wealth, and make your family indestructible. Now, let's create your edge. Welcome to the Lion's Edge. Quick setup for this episode today, just so you know what the heck Joe and I are even talking about as we just hit record and started rolling in. Essentially, Joe had an issue with his camera, whole wiring, all that, this kind of stuff. But just to give you that context of what the heck we're talking about as we just kind of jump into this one. But we definitely jumped from there to, hey, here's this goofy little problem that consumed Joe's world for a couple of days. But how are we all doing that with something in our business, maybe our personal life, that, wow, we're just so focused on this one thing that we can't think about anything else. Balls are getting dropped everywhere, and we're not solving this one thing because we're so way too close to it, way too frustrated and angry about it. So kind of zoom out from there, but just to give you some context there of what the heck we're talking about. All right, let's jump in.
So like when you get really focused on something, you think there's a problem and you're like trying to solve it, and it's like one little thing that you're not paying attention to. Like the cord was in the wrong place.
Yeah.
That was it. 2 days of agony, figuring out every call. Lauren's on maternity. I don't want to bug her. And of course I did. But literally like, I'm chatting online with Elgato. This isn't working. They're sending me links. I'm reading them. It was nuts.
And then imagine you magnify that by your entire team focused on, the wrong.
Oh yeah, I'm calling. Susan's wanting to come up here and look at it,
Well, but I mean, even taking and then taking that to business, and if
we're all trying to solve the wrong problem. It was like, it wasn't even a problem. I just wasn't literally looking at that. I was looking at the computer in my screen, and it was one misplacement. The power was in the wrong place and the adapter was switched them. Done. But you get tunnel vision on what you're trying to do. And I think the other thing that came out of it was I just said, I'm not dealing with this right now. And then all of a sudden the next day I look at it, I'm like, that's not right. Like just click, I'm like, and then I just went beep, beep, boom. It's nuts.
Yeah, there's definitely power in that stepping back and getting out of that. Because we all know that feeling too. Like we're just in it and you can't get out of that anger spiral.
Correct. Your brain goes into, I'm totally pissed off that why, this is ridiculous. And I get like so dialed into my emotion of being frustrated and irritated. I miss the little tiny thing that was an easy fix. That's all it is. And, it's interesting. We're going into the in-person at the end of this week, and it's going to be a cool and crisp 108 heat index, I believe. We have an outdoor event. I think our reception's outdoors on a rooftop. So, but you know what? They wanted Missouri, they get Missouri. I love Missouri. But we're going into that, and part of it is, we're working on mindset and some different things. I call it the wealth signal, like how. And by the way, when you're pissed off, you're not sending it. But one of the things I really want to work on is, and it's in this interesting book called The Bible, Slow to Anger. I am lightning fast to anger. and it's probably my Achilles. And I like if I just would have calmed down, relaxed, kind of looked around and like, oh, that doesn't look right. But instead, I'm, firing off texts and emails and saying everyone's fired, even though
There's no one to fire,
it
right?
was
There's
me.
no one around.
It was me. I mean, but I really want to work on like more calm, just like take a breath. It's funny, when you do some coaching like I do some. You can tell everyone how to do things and it works and it makes sense. And then it's like, okay, maybe I should take 3 seconds or 10 seconds and relax. And it really, it wasn't even a big deal. It wasn't like I couldn't function. It just pissed me off to no end.
Right, and to your point, though, that, like, certainly while we're talking about it, that's the exact idea because that happens across organizations. It happens in big, massive decisions trying to figure something out. Like, oh, we've lost, a customer segment. We've lost whatever that may be. And how do we zoom out? How do we take a breath in the moment? And as an organization, too, again, back to top down kind of stuff. Like, how do you step back and guide an entire organization to go, hey, let's all breathe for a second,
Right. I look at questions to ask yourself and it's like, sometimes I'll just stop for a second and say, is this even real? Like, is this even, have I just created something that isn't even real? And lo and behold, I did. And now here I am back up. Everything's working back in the flow. But the cost to it though was my quick reaction, like just immediate. I was infuriated, I guess is the way I would describe that. Over absolutely nothing, by the way. Maybe I'm almost 50, almost. You would think by this time I would learn that, right? Like I would know. And I don't think I have. But that helped. I wrote it down, but do not get super angry. No, wait, not. Oh, and do not argue. I put that in there too.
Oh,
Um,
nice.
yeah, because I argued with everyone. I started arguing with people. I'm like, this isn't working. You're wrong. Like I just kept making it worse by the moment and turned this little tiny thing into, you know, nothing's going to work now. So there you have it.
I don't know. I don't know if that's talked about enough to in the business segment of this idea, truly of taking a step back. How do I get a better perspective than, hey, it's right in front of my face? How do I step back from a situation, especially when, hey, the roof is on fire, if it's got to get put out, this has to get figured out. Sometimes, yeah, the roof isn't really on fire, but sometimes you're in that moment and you're surrounded by people running around trying to solve that problem. How do you kind of justify stopping everything? And is that the solution?
Well, number one, and I agree. Like you got to take a step back. But the other one of the thoughts, I'm like, how many other times am I doing this? Like, what's the compounding effect of the sparks? And you talk about the roof on fire. Well, that starts with one. Well, and like I'm fueling the fire. I'm huffing and puffing. I'm complaining on my Zooms. It was just complete ignorance. But to the business point of it, it's like if I fan the flames of little sparks, am I creating all the fires? Am I creating all my own fires? Probably yes, but and then when a real one happens, now we're overwhelmed because I've started all these other little fires. So it was an interesting. I don't know. I didn't do it on purpose, so it's not like I'm brilliant. I'm like, let me see how this works. No, I just did it, made it worse, fixed it, learned from it, and if and I do this in coach when someone comes to me, I'm like, take a step back, take a breath. I start coaching sessions with take a deep breath. In the end, it's all going to be okay. Like, we have all the tools in place, but in the moment, it's difficult to pause and say, okay, is this really a problem? I had a temporary solution, so it really wasn't. I still could function. We didn't lose clients. We didn't lose money. We didn't lose anything other than me losing sleep, you know, and calm. And I don't know if I lost sleep over it, but I was like, why is this so hard? And why is it happening now? You start getting into victim mode. Like, I don't need this right now. I don't need this problem in my life right now. And it popped up. So, little life lesson. Problems coming. They're a parade. I just, made it worse. So, I don't know if that helps anybody, but I guess what I would say about it is when you think something is a big deal and you get into a state of where I was, it is good to just walk away from it for a minute, do what you can, come back. And it probably, in my mind, I had seen it the right way, but in the state I was in, I couldn't see it. I couldn't see the problem, the real one, and I just made a bigger one. So if you take yourself away from it for a minute, then I had this literally, like, it's right here, by the way, all this stuff. I literally looked there and, like, in my brain, it didn't, like, that doesn't look right. And then I changed it. But in the state I was in, I just couldn't, I was too dialed into this is a huge problem.
I think it'd be good to if you could kind of give us some examples and the business side of things, where that happens and where that comes up, but also the bigger picture, right? Like you have taken this as a lesson of, okay, I'm showing up like this a lot and
There's a
have been.
pattern.
Yeah. And instead of just do as I say, not as I do, hey, you over there, stop being angry. How do you? I mean, I've got my own process, but how do you then take that and go, okay, there has to be a solution to this in that to get out of that reactive state and actually respond, right? We hear that a lot, and I think it's reps after it's awareness, and then it's reps, and oh yeah, that's right. Oh yeah, that's right. And then keep coming back to it. And over time, like with a lot of personal development, it's then, okay, you respond a little less angry, a little less angry. You breathe and accept that a little bit better, a little bit better. And over time, you're kind of a different person.
Well, I mean, we have a thing on stress where, the fastest way out of it is 30 deep breaths as deep as you can go. I didn't do that, by the way. Just FYI. I think I stopped breathing and tried to muscle through it. It's funny you brought that up. We're looking at something right now, and I think it's real life. Sometimes trying too hard doesn't work. And I don't know, it's my kid. I don't know if people out there have kids, they play like Fortnite or whatever, and you hear them screaming at the try hard. It's the person that's trying to go in and kill everything and do it and be the hero, and they get everyone else killed. So I'm also thinking of, like, it's not that you shouldn't take massive action. It's just trying so hard starts to work against you because people, when you're a try hard, that's what people take away. I had a guy, who was that? I can't remember put in a post, like, I outwork everybody. No one will outwork me. And like this whole diatribe about being the hardest worker. And I'm like, do you think that's a sign of super success? That you're outworking everyone? I don't, I mean, I'm not judging here. I'm like, I'm like, is that what, if I'm going to be your partner or do business with you or whatever, is that the sign I'm looking for? Is I'm not, so it's weird. It's like, I don't want someone who's lazy, but if you're trying so hard to do something, I think people feel like they're like, you're, it's, the words are the words. You're trying too hard. And, even back to the mechanics, what I was doing, the thing that's important that I needed to deliver was to the client. That wasn't really impeded. I know people want to see me. So I got a camera, I figured it out on my MacBook. So the actual thing that mattered got done, and the client got what they wanted. I needed to do what I needed to do. It was a problem that in reality wasn't even a problem. I just made it into a huge one.
Yeah.
And then I'm trying and trying, and it's like, So I don't. It goes back to what I was saying about I'm working on maybe a little more calm, not just in like forcing myself to be calm, but just a calm. Hell in church, I said hell, and then church in the same sentence. In church yesterday, we were talking about joy. There's a big difference between happiness and joy. Happiness is momentary lapse of reality. I'm happy for a moment. With joy is I take joy in what I'm doing. So this is like maybe I had my own life lesson in the last week, but try to be more calm, more joy. And when you translate that to work, if you can, so let's just, if you want examples, if I can do what I need to do to deliver or fulfill for a client and do that over and over, maybe I shouldn't have to try so hard on everything else because that's what is delivering. So I don't have to force everything I'm trying to do, because if you've done it once, you can do it many times, and where there's one, there's many. So if you do that math, if I've delivered really well one time, then I just need to replicate that, have the discipline to do it even when it's boring, which what I do, thank God, isn't, but some people have repetitious things in their worlds. So, but the mechanics of it should take a lot of that try hard out of me. I know this works. And that's where I don't have to force it all the time, or force, we talked, I think, a long time in Assassins about like chasing clients down and stuff. And I'm still guilty of that at times. I go, probably a little longer than I should. But if I'm trying so hard on everything, I think it just emits a like, get out of this person's way and it's not going to go good. I mean, I even know, like, for example, sometimes when I go home, I try really hard to not be bothered. And then I create being bothered because I'm trying so hard to not be bothered. Maybe I should just be calm and that. So we live in this weird paradigm. We live in a weird paradigm.
There you
The
go.
nuances on that shirt, by the way, are amazing. I can't wait to get those out. Shout out to Gary. But do you understand? Am I making sense? I mean, I know I'm rambling, but I, I think if you focus on the discipline of the actual important thing and not all the little things, you'll be more joyful, less stressed. Because I get in a wound up. What did they say? Wound up. Someone once said to me, "Relax." Not sure I know how, but I'd like to a little bit. So
Yeah. Did they tell you that in the middle of a angry state?
really helped.
Which
It was
yeah, it's
super
always helps, right?
helpful.
Relax.
Can you just relax?
Smile.
Yeah. Take a breath. So, but I think from the overarching business, that can accumulate on you, and if that's your state of being, it's going to work against you. And I'm living proof.
It's hitting everything that comes in front of you at 100, at boom, oh, it has to get done, and anger and spark. Like, that's the difference. It's not, to me, it's not about trying hard or not, or work ethic or outworking. I mean, sure, there's too much of that. And I think if you're, I don't know, to me, if you're putting that in the post, basically, if you have to tell people how hard you work, maybe you're not working. you know?
I tell people I don't work. This isn't work. This is
Hey,
all I do.
exactly. But I think it's that. It's not about not working hard, not putting your all into something. I think it's making sure you know where you're going at all at all times with that working. What am I doing here? And it's a life thing. It is a process thing to stop in the moment and realize, okay, this is stupid. Like, something's off here.
I might have I said that out loud there may have been an expletive in front of it.
I can't tell you how many times the sentence going through my head is like, well, at least I finally got it. It like the amount of things.
I am stealing that. Well, at least I finally got there.
Yeah, and I've just had to accept it. The amount of things of I just look up and go, why have I been doing this like this for 30 years? That's insane. Like, all I have to do is this. Oh, well, at least I got there, I guess.
I saw I don't know if YouTube reads your mind these days. I think I think the AI reads your mind. I saw a video, act like nothing affects you. I'm like, huh. I should, I've heard that. I should do that. Because why does it even affect it? It's just like we create our own mess. I mean, we're human. I don't know, but I it was one of those things. And then I'm like, am I doing this with everything? Am I doing it? I look for patterns. It's my pattern probably is just get pissed off, kill it, and move. And that doesn't always work because then you have to go back. So, what a wonderful lesson. I'm so glad I learned that one. And it only took 50 years, and I'm sure I won't repeat it. So that's awesome.
Yeah, I think but I do think that's important to look out for and look out in these things. And that's the other thing too, is like you brought up like the little sparks. I think that's the thing too, to realize, okay, this tiny little thing you're making into this. And that's the other thing. We sense that if we take a breath and we take a second, we can feel that. Now, very often we ignore that feeling and we just keep going like, yeah. But it is such a small thing. I can just get this knocked out. I can just get this figured. I can just get this. And while the building is crumbling around you, you know, then I got it, and
I do have 30 people coming to an in person at the end of the week, and the person who runs this whole thing is not going to be present. I could have been thinking about that, but I was really pissed off that my camera didn't work right. That was really pissed. So very good point, Jason. Yes, there probably are other more important things to work on than the little things that really wasn't even a problem. It was just irritation, frustration, and anger. All signs of maturity in business. All signs
That's
of
right.
maturity in business.
That's right. All right. Hope that helps. Hope somebody
Try.
look out. Yeah.
All right, that's all.
Thanks for sharing your pain.
All right.
You've just experienced the Lion's Edge. If this episode lit a fire, if you're ready to push past your current ceiling, there's more waiting for you. Want to see what it takes to become a member of the Lion? Visit jointhelion.com to discover how successful entrepreneurs become unstoppable forces. And make sure you never miss an episode by hitting subscribe wherever you get your podcasts. This isn't just content. This is your edge.
This show is powered by Media Leads. Tired of being overlooked in your industry? Learn how market gravity can transform you into the leader everyone's talking about by going to MediaLeadsCo.com.